Okay, I'm hearing double music here. What's going on? Uh, Alrighty. So yeah, we can't. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome everybody to the show. I'm Calvin Ward. Thank you for tuning in. Strategically Prophetic, and with tonight we have a masterclass series expert interview. So I've been doing a series of these interviews to bring people to you to be able to pass on some information that may not be for the average bear. So tonight we have certified hypnotist and life coach Anthony Benton Brown. And when we come back, we will get right into the interview. We'll be back right after this. Awesome. So we are back. Let's get right into it. Anthony, how are you doing on tonight?
Man, I'm doing beautiful. How are you?
I'm doing great. I don't think I got, what city are you in?
I'm in a small town called Blaine, Washington, which is about 2 hours north of Seattle and about 40 minutes out of Vancouver, BC, because we're right on the border.
Are you in the boondocks? You all the way up? Where you at? You up there? Y'all are up there in the boondocks up there. Well, that's fine. Do you get snow up there? What's the weather like up there?
Oh yeah, we get snow. We get a lot of wind too. But yeah, we get snow up here because we're close to the bay. So that's that's basically at zero. But we're about 100 and maybe 200 feet up from sea level. And yeah, we get snow. We get snow every single year. We just had to get all-wheel drive car because we got so much snow.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
because I'm over here in New Mexico. New Mexico, I call the weather over here schizophrenic.
Uh-huh.
And one day I'll be at work and it will snow. When I leave work, snow will be on the ground, on your car. For the next 3 hours, it'll be snowing. And then by noon, the sun will be out and it'll be like 70 degrees out. It's like, are we serious with this right now? Like, is this really going down? So anyway, that's how it is on our end over here. So let's get right into this. What I want to do, I want to start off. Can you talk a little bit about your background and who you are, like your educational background, where you grew up, where you were raised, all of those good things?
Sure, definitely. I was, raised in Northwest, the state of Washington, and Seattle, Washington, in the north end and the south end, which are two different places, if anybody knows Seattle. Northwest, born and raised. Stayed in Whidbey Island for about 2 years, and which is, completely rural. There's absolutely nobody for miles and miles. I mean, there's probably a few houses, a couple acres down, but it's just temperate rainforest up here, man. And I didn't have any, children to play with, for those couple years. We were taking care of my grandparents and things because they were kind of on their last leg. But yeah, man, just, born and raised in Seattle. Went to a school called Roosevelt, and then went up to Western, which is in Bellingham, about 20 minutes away from here, for my degree, which I got in Spanish, modern languages. And I fell in love with the language, the Spanish language, when I was about 12 years old, and I just continued to study and study and study. I didn't know what I wanted to get my degree in, and that was the thing that I really loved. So I got into politics a little bit later on, political science, and I got a minor in that, but I just wanted to get out of it for 4 years. Could have spent about 2 more quarters and gotten a second degree, but I decided to get out of there quick.
Okay, awesome. So the background in languages and a little bit of political science there.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, awesome. What because I know you're a translator too. I have hypnotist and life coach. But you deal in translation and languages. So really quickly, what interested you about languages? What did you love about languages? And I like language. I took Spanish. I took 3 years of Spanish in high school. I said I was going to go back. I need to go back and take like a year or two college level, just a Spanish, just to really get immersed in it. Because we tell ourselves we can just be around people speaking it and we'll pick it up, and that's a lie. But because we don't pick it up at all. So, but yeah. So what drew you to languages?
Well, my godmother, she was from Mexico, and my godfather, he's from Canada. So, they would speak Spanish with each other, and my, my god sister, my god brother, they would speak Spanish, and there was other people around me, friends and things like that of the family that spoke Spanish. And I just thought it was very interesting to be able to speak a different language and have the majority of the population not know what you're talking about. It's very simple, and then I went to this party, of some Colombians that used to actually babysit for me. And I was listening to the language. I was like, ooh, I can even understand a couple of those words too, because they're so similar to English.
Right.
Okay. Just after that, I kind of fell in love with it. And the first chance I got to study it was in, 6th grade. And so didn't stop from there.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I took a little bit. And my 8th grade teacher in high school was Senor Brenes. Senor Brenes. And this was, 7th, it was 8th grade. So Senor Brenes, and he was from Puerto Rico. And we used to, we had to go to the bathroom. We'd go and say, hey, Senor, we got to go to the restroom. And he'd look at us with that I don't speak English look, that foreigners give you, because he wanted us to speak everything in Spanish. So he'd be like, what are you saying? What do you need? We had to speak everything in Spanish. I think that's a language to know, though, right? Spanish, I don't know about the language as far as business. I know when I was in school, the talk was that you need to learn Japanese. Japanese is the business language. So what do you think about now with Spanish? People of color people of color have always been the majority. So Hispanic populations have always been part of the majority with Black peoples or peoples of color. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that language, or knowing somebody, becoming familiar with Spanish? Like, can that help them if they have a child? Should they be pushing their child to really know Spanish or pick up a second language fluently as early as possible? I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that as a society, we should begin to study a second language when we're 5 years old or 6 years old, just to get it going, because we're like sponges at that age. There's a couple, actually public schools now in Seattle that teach, both languages bilingual in elementary school. And they just switch off, I think 1 week, one language, 1 week, the next language, and, one's for Spanish, and I think a couple are for Chinese. But yeah, I mean, for business and just for personal growth, and to be able to understand and to be able to think in different ways that would help you out, and understanding, having compassion for other people and for other cultures. I think it's a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah, and that's one. It's funny too, because that also ties into what is being spread. It's global, in the leadership domain, but talking about inclusion and diversity. Inclusion and diversity are huge now in the corporate domains, making sure everybody is included. But companies are finding out that if they are more diverse, it actually affects their bottom line. If they bring in more cultures, people with more experiences, people of different colors, different genders, people of different backgrounds, they're finding that these people bring these skills to the company, and it actually helps to promote the company. So it's always good to pick up another culture and the language. That was one of the things I wish I had done, to tell you the truth. I started playing piano, the trombone, and the French horn. I wish I'd have played that a little bit more. I could still get around on a piano now. I could do, and I know music theory, but I can't sit at a recital and just go in. So I can read sheet music. But the other thing was to pick up another language, right? And to be able to communicate with people and just pick up another language. I was in Korea, so we had to. The funny thing about it, I have Google Translate. What do you think about Google Translate? Because we would get in the cabs, and I'd be like, hold up. And the guy would be like, what do you want? And I'd look, and we would just type in what we do and turn it and show it to him, and it would translate it in whatever language we put it in.
Yeah. So Google Translate is pretty good, man. I mean, there's quite a few apps out there that translate for you. Since I have a company, and, that's what we do. We do written translation for companies and for local businesses and local governments, and also the federal government. We've helped out with that too, for interpreting and translation. Interpreting is verbal, and then translation is written. So we've done a little bit of everything over the years. But Google Translate isn't where it can be. Like a business can use Google Translate for what they need to do, but when it's printed out, it's not going to be professional, because it's not going to be fluent. And that's from Spanish, which is one of the easier languages to translate, all the way to Farsi or Finnish, one of the some of the most difficult things to translate. So and Chinese. So it just depends. I mean, if you're just traveling And if you're saying hi to somebody and all you need to do is get the idea across, I mean, yeah, they'll say things quite accurately and quite precisely. But when you start to, deviate a little bit, from normal conversation and get into more specialties, like I'm a medical interpreter, I'm a certified medical interpreter. When you really get into the medical, jargon that you have to use, and even just regular ordinary speech, because there's, I don't know how many countries that speak Spanish, right? There's so many different ways and syntaxes and forms to express yourself in that language, and then so many different words to say the exact same thing that it's machine translation has been around since the 40s, since World War II, but it still isn't there. It still hasn't.
You still need a human. You still need a human aspect to it. So maybe I need to enlist you, because you know what? I'm glad we're talking about this. I'm a transition now, but I'm glad we're talking about this because you may be the person I needed. There was one of my favorite authors. I study Sumerian.
Yeah.
Sumerian was the first language, and it's a fascinating language. Because when you deal with philology, and when you deal with the etymology of a word, what you deal with philology, and you get into hermeneutics and the interpretation of languages, ancient languages, as it applies to ancient texts.
Yeah.
You start popping up with languages like Sanskrit,
yes.
Tamil, and anyway, Sumerian, Akkadian, Chaldee. So there's a book by
Assyrian.
Yes, Assyrian. Yes. And so there's a book by one of my favorite scholars, and he's French. Mm-hmm. So there's a book. His research is so the magnitude of his research is great anyway, but because he's French, a lot of his books haven't been translated to English. So I found one of his books in English, and I need that research. So I said I might have to give it to you. Is French a language that you translate? What languages do you translate?
Oh yeah, we translate over 300 languages, and translation and interpretation, which is oral and written. But yeah, I mean we definitely do French for you, and yeah, I mean,
how long will that take though? Like, what is that? How does that work? I'm gonna ask this, and I'm gonna translate, because I can stay here for a while. I don't want to make this a personal thing and get all up in my business, because I'm like, I got some stuff I need to send his way. What? How long? Like a book? Like, if you got a book that's 200 pages, how long? What's the turnaround time on that? Somebody has a book that's in a language. They're like, look, I got this book. Like me, I have this book. It's one of my favorite researchers and scholars. However, it's in French. I can't get the information. And let's say I sent it to you. Say, look, I need this translated. What would something like that cost? And what would the TAT? What would I call it a TAT, the turnaround time. What would the turnaround time be, and how much would something like that cost?
Ooh. For a 200-page book, man, that would be really expensive, to be honest, because we charge anywhere from 18 cents to 24 cents a word. So if there's 70,000 words, in a book, then you would times that by basically 24 cents or 25 cents, especially for those languages that are of lesser diffusion.
But surely, as a fellow metaphysician, I get a discount. No, I'm just I'm playing. So, well, let's transition.
We'll get the cheapest cost for you, buddy. You know that. Anybody who's on here,
slide it in there and be like, look, well, I was quoting 1 cent a word. I don't know what he's talking about. That's what I got. So let's transition a little bit. So you're a fellow metaphysician, University of Metaphysics. I have a master's in metaphysics as well. I know you graduated. I don't know what level degree you have. I'll let you speak to that. Sure. Can you talk a little bit now, because I'm going to slide into the hypnotism and what you do as a hypnotism life coach. But can you talk a little bit and be as free as you want, because this show is free. I want you to express, like, what is your spiritual journey and what led you up to, being a metaphysician, or how was your spiritual journey? How has that been for you, so people can get an idea of your background from that angle?
Sure, definitely. I mean, just really quickly, just to kind of make a segue into this next topic. There's a company called Faith Life, and it's a really big company, and they do a lot of software for Bible software, and they do all sorts of the different books. It's called Faith Life.
Faith Life. Okay, I'm listening. Go ahead.
And they're in Bellingham. They probably have about 200 employees or so, and one of the bigger companies in Bellingham. But they do a lot of translation. They do a lot of translation because they have to, due to the the texts that are so ancient. Right. But So as far as I'm concerned, and my background, so I have my degree in metaphysics from the University of Sedona, University of Metaphysics, and working on my master's and my doctorate. So I'm a doctoral student. But yeah, I mean, I grew up Catholic. I grew up Catholic. My parents are Catholic. They went to Catholic school, and I wasn't necessarily brought to church every Sunday. Mm-hmm. I wasn't brought to mass every Sunday, but I did get, I did go get my my first communion. I was never confirmed. Confirm happens around 13, 14 years old, but but I would go to this church in Seattle, and it was called Immaculate. Right. And it was a Catholic church, and it was it was interesting. There was black folks there, white folks there, Asian folks there, and everybody got along really well, and it was nice. It was an interesting atmosphere to grow up in, and I say grow up in because my whole family was in the gospel choir. My mom was in the gospel choir. My grandmother, who I used to go with all the time, she was in the choir also. And we had a priest that sounded more like a Baptist, priest as opposed to a Catholic priest. So it was really interesting, right? To grow up around that, have people throwing their hands up and feeling it, right? And the energy was great. The energy was awesome, especially with the gospel choir, and so that's what I grew up around, and that sense of community, which I think was the most thing that was closest to God, which was that sense of community, and the awesome sermons that our priests would give, and just that intense intense feeling that you would get when you listen to the gospel choir, and when you would sing along, and you would get up and you clap and you dance, and it was that to me was definitely an experience of touching God, of communing with the all that is. So my experience with God and with the all that is, with the universe, whatever you want to call it. I'm a metaphysician. I'm
right. I wanted to transition that, So what made you seek out the metaphysics? Because we have a lot of people, and I'm gonna say this because a lot of people, and if they don't know or do know, I tell people I graduated. I went University of Metaphysics, I have my master's. I've been working on my doctoral since 2011 because I haven't found. I need to dig into that because it's such a broad topic, and that's part of the Sumerian I was telling you about. But a lot of people don't understand metaphysics, and so if somebody was watching this, because a lot of people that are Christian. And I'm saying this, and I'm gonna jump back in, to you. But I just want to throw this out there. A lot of people that are Christian, you may watch this, and Christians have been programmed to believe things. I say programmed because a system of thought patterns, will create a stronghold, which is how somebody thinks. This is how you think. So to deprogram something, it's almost like going in. You have to make a conscious effort to say, I need to change these thoughts. And a lot of those thoughts are based on faulty information. And so I encourage people to go back and research, because metaphysics, the word meta is after. The word physics is of course physics. It was a name given to the writings after physics, metaphysics, because the writings after physics, I believe they were Aristotelian in nature, and what those writings referred to, the particulates. Actually, metaphysics was called first philosophy, and if you go to the rigors of academia, they will call it speculative philosophy, right? So they philosophized it a whole lot more, and turned it into this huge academic branch, and all they're doing, quoting what this one say, what that one say, how you feel, who cares? But on the spiritual side, it's first philosophy. So it was the study of, how should I say, the study of, for lack of a better word, the study of beginnings. Metaphysics was the study of origins. Matter of fact, metaphysics was called first philosophy, and from metaphysics, we get a branch of study called theology. And so at the end of the day, metaphysics was the study of the invisible. that realm.
Beyond the physical. Beyond physical.
Beyond physical. All of those things.
Beyond physical.
And then, yes, that was the precursor to what we have. And so now it's been kind of divided up into an academic field and then the spiritual field. So as metaphysicians, you know, you'll have metaphysicians in different branches, different religions, right? Mm-hmm. But I just want to throw that out there for Christians, because a lot of Christians think things. They think everything is demonic because they don't understand it. That's how they were raised. And that's the reason why I want to talk about hypnotism, because I know Christians, as soon as you say hypnotism, the first thing they say is, oh my gosh, that's demonic. I'm not being hypnotized. I don't have my mind. And I did go to your website and see some of the misnomers. So, and before I get into that, because we have time, I want to go back to you. Can we transition now into what made you seek what made you go the route of metaphysics? Like, what was going on? Like, how did you transition? You gave us your background, but how did you transition into that?
Well, I'm going to say a little bit more about my background because it's important. I grew up Catholic, but not necessarily always going, to mass, because, the generation of our parents, they would get beaten by the teachers. The priests would, you remember everything that's been going on in the past, couple decades in regards to the priests being caught, abusing, children, boys and girls, mostly boys. So there's been a mistrust in, Catholicism for a long time, and they lost a lot of people, and my parents were some of them. My dad would give me, but it was beautiful for me, because my dad would give me different things to read. Like he would, talk about Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, different things like that, the yin and yang, and as above, so below, and but all of that has to do with Christianity. When you look back into, when you compare all of the different religions, there's a common thread through them all, and I honor that, and that's something that is difficult, for Christians, especially fire and brimstone type, that are very firm, saying that if you don't believe this about Jesus, then you're going to hell. But when there are beautiful, really good people in different cultures, and brown people, yellow people, different languages and different religions, that believe in something else. And I believe that they are also worthy of being loved and being, saved and going, to heaven or to the celestial place, after life, after death. So that's kind of my background. And so I saw The Secret in 2006, 2007. Mm-hmm. I saw The Secret, and around the same time I read A Purposeful Driven Life, which is a Christian self-help book.
So what did you think about the Secret? Because let me tell you this.
Uh-huh.
Now listen, when I saw the show The Secret, I said, this is not a secret. I said, for those that understand the mystery schools, I said, this is not a secret. These are principles that have been around for thousands of years, whether it is, and I'm talking around on, from the metaphysician perspective and the theological perspective, but I'm like, whether you're delving into comparative religious studies, you're talking about Hermes Trismegistus, there's a book called The Three Initiates. Have you heard of that book?
I have not, no.
When you read, it's called The Three Initiates.
Okay.
Look at the year the book was published. When you open that up, you're going to be like, this is the secret. All they did was attack the same principles. Manly P. Hall and his writings, I was like, these are not secrets. Everything in that book, all the principles in that book for me was Hermetic philosophy.
Right.
And I was like, this woman that took somebody's stuff and done reworded it, but she made that money. But they were powerful principles nonetheless. But they're talking about bringing those ancient principles back and giving them to people so that they can use them in their everyday life. Because I tell people all the time, I can't save everybody. Everybody's not going to be Christian. Everybody's not going to be Buddhist, Muslim, whatever religion you are. However, I think we can affect people's lives and show people how to live better, how to live more effectively while they're here on this earth. And it's with that respect that I like to jump in, discuss, and, you just help people. We just help people. But that's what I saw with the. So what did you think about The Secret when because you said The Secret and you paired it with The Purpose-Driven Life? Is that John Maxwell? Is that John Maxwell?
Oh, man,
Purpose of the life.
I wish I remembered, man. I wish I
Yeah.
remembered.
So, but what do you think about that?
It was a great book, and it just kind of opened my eyes to the God in me, basically. Putting. What'd you say?
Rick Warren.
Rick Warren. Yes, that's right. You got it. Yeah, it's Rick Warren. And I saw Lisa Nichols on there, and she touched my heart and soul. And so I just started to really kind of take control of my life, because I was kind of in a darker place, man. I was doing really well, in interpreting as a freelance interpreter, making some good money for my for my age, and having a good time while working. Yet I felt really empty on the inside, and still was dealing with social anxiety, depression, and then a little bit of voices started to come in my head, right, and which is can be related to schizophrenia, and it runs in my family on one side. So I was like, okay, I got to do something about this. So I kind of separated myself from my thoughts, and started to talk back, and really start using the I am, right, which also means God, which is Yahweh, right. And so I began to manifest things. Those
are affirmations, though, right? Right. The I am. Can you talk on that a little bit? Because I want people to understand, right. Again, a lot of these ancient philosophies are weaved, and this is an educational, that's why this is a master class. So this is an education class. So a lot of these ancient principles, a lot of the principles for life and success, they're weaved into basically the fabric of a lot of different belief systems. But the I am, and I know, like you said, you had to go back there. Can you talk about what is that to somebody that doesn't understand? What's he talking about? I am, and controlling my thoughts, and
sure.
listening to myself, and taking control. What is all of that?
Sure, no worries. Yeah. So I mean, I said, okay, I am not going to be schizophrenic. I'm not going to let these these voices that are screaming in my head take over, and I'm going to turn things around. So I just decided to say, okay, no, you don't belong here. What have you? Right. Get out of my head. I am powerful. I am love. I am, peace. I am kindness. I am. Because God is within all of us at all times. We are God. We are like the fingers of God. And, God is infinite. So, I think it was in the interview that you did with the gentleman I think he's a pastor, a couple of days ago. You guys were talking about how, and I'm not really too good with the Psalms and things like that.
Right.
Talk about how Jesus said that, you will be able to do, just as I do or more. Yeah. Right. And I wrote down some things that I wanted in a woman, and a whole list, and I put it away just with faith and trust, that it would happen. And then, a month later I meet my wife, and I'm still with her after 13, 14 years. So just a few different things like that I have used to manifest, what I want in my life. And at the same time, though, things aren't perfect, right? And this is my soul path that I have chosen, that that I chose before I came down here. My father, he said about 2 or 3 years before he met my mom that he had a dream, and it was me in heaven as a 3-year-old, just up in the sky as a 3-year-old, pointing down at him and said, "I choose you." So I choose you as a father. And so this is my soul journey. My soul journey is filled with challenges, obstacles, and it just is making me into a better man, right? I mean, my son has autism. I wouldn't have chosen that if it was going to be my conscious self, but my God self, my higher self, chose that for me so that I can become who I need to be in order to help out as many people as possible in this life. So that's where it started in 2007, with the purposeful driven life and The Secret. And I started to get into mysticism, Christian mysticism. I read Evelyn, is it Evelyn Churchill, Evelyn Hill? But she wrote Mysticism, and I was just, super intrigued by that. The I am means God. So as I was saying, that God is within all of us at all times. If you say I am, then this is what you are manifesting in your life. This is what you're manifesting for you, because that, it means God at the same time. So that's all the power, of God, within you when you say I am. So if you're saying negative stuff to you, I am stupid, I am dumb, or if you're even thinking that way, then it's like a negative prayer.
And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I like that because I'm very prophetic, and in the Christian, I'm a prophetic individual. I've had some near-death experiences. I've had testimonies. So I listen to people sometimes. Sometimes in certain arenas, I think people like to see who has the greatest testimony. Well, as soon as they hear, I almost died in a car wreck. Well, I almost died in a train accident. And then when I got out the train, a car almost hit me. And then, I almost drank. Everybody goes through that, where it's almost like sometimes people trying to see who has the greatest testimony and I'm talking about for myself among Christians, but I hear the stories among people as well. But I think that I think it's very powerful because it's very prophetic. When somebody says I am, what I'm reminded of when I hear that is the term when Moses went to the mountain, Shehi, and I jacked that name up in Hebrew, but Shehi is what I want to say. That has been what has been translated as, well, the closest thing they have gotten to that is the Tetragrammaton, or Yod-He, Vod-He, or Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever. All of that came from that. But he told Moses, and that's what I like about it, because he said that I am. He told Moses said, who shall I tell them sent me?
I am that I am.
And the translation said, I am that I am. But if you go now, some translations, that's why I love languages. So you open it up.
In the translation, right? Yeah.
Some translations, in some translations, it will translate that the original Hebrew translates that he said, I will be what I will be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now that right there, and connecting that to the I am, because I like what you said, because then people need to connect with their God self, their spirit, and understand that the power of God, your ability to speak, is the ability to create. That's the creative frequency on God. We're made in his image. In the beginning, according to the Christian story, in the beginning was the word. Word is sound. And I get excited, so I like to talk about that, because there's another statement that says, what is Jesus but the sound of God? That's when you go into Christian mysticism. And that's why I went there. So what do you mean Christian mysticism? Because people say, oh my gosh, I know Christians that say mysticism and, oh my gosh, that's demonic. Where is the oil? Let's go get the priest. Yeah. Let's go cast that out. They mysticism, but the church had mysticism.
Oh yeah.
The first mystics.
Yes, for sure.
Christian mysticism.
Christian mysticism is basically just the union of the human self and God, and the study of that and the practice of that. Mm-hmm. And Christian mysticism, that was what it's almost redundant. Well, it was before about 500, 600 AD, when I think it was the Roman Empire decided to do away with all the mystics, do away with all the Gnostics, and because there was different little sects of Christianity, and they made it so that the Roman Catholicism was the only thing that they practiced, but meditation, for instance, is what monks and all of the people who choose that type of lifestyle in any religion do, because that is silent prayer. Right. Meditation is silent prayer. It's connecting with God. It's connecting with all that is when you quiet your mind and you listen, and God speaks.
And see, and quiet and listen. And I think that's missing. I think the mysticism, the mystical part of God is missing from the practical lifestyles of a lot of Christians. Because if they were mystical about their faith, they would learn how to, we would learn how to meditate. They would use I call them technologies of the spirit. All throughout my life, nobody on earth can tell me that God is not real. I don't care. And even in the times that I felt like he wasn't real, because I'm like, what is going on up in here? Like, God, I don't even feel God. Like, what is really going on? And I had to, and going back to what you said, I had to talk to myself, because there comes a place where you don't, there's a scripture that says we walk by faith, not by sight. But there comes a time where you can't walk by what you feel. See,
Right.
mysticism has to lead you to walking by what you know. So when your emotions are not there to make you feel happy and you feel depressed, you got to walk by what you know to be true and let that lead you, versus trying to let your emotions lead you and guide you, and trying to let your emotions just throw you, into this dark place. And there's a book, since you said Christian mysticism, blessings. There was a book called The Dark Night of the Soul, but Christian mysticism.
Right.
So let's slide to, for the rest of the show, I guess we'll talk about this hypnotism. So how did you get into hypnotism? Because I know a lot of people that say hypnotism, here we go again. That's demonic. You don't have control of your mind, and if you don't have control of your mind, something else can come in. And listen, I study, I call myself a demonologist because I study and I understand demons in many cultures worldwide by way of comparative religion. And I've dealt with some demons and I can cast them out too. But I understand there's more to stuff, right? And a lot of stuff is almost like the medieval times. People believe certain things and then knowledge comes and it changes. So can you tell us how you transitioned into hypnotism and what is hypnotism?
Mm-hmm. So I liked what you said about going from when you're talking down on yourself, when you have that negative talk going on in your head, going from that to knowledge, from belief and prayer to knowledge and blessings.
Right.
That's what we want to do. So in regards to, hypnotism, we are hypnotized when, a few times a day. If you're driving down the street, you can go to the YMCA, you can go to the store. If you've done that so many times, sometimes you drive there and you don't remember the ride. You're like, hold on, that's weird. That's called hypnotic driving. You watch a movie, your eyes are completely open again, and you start to cry. You start to laugh. You start to feel like you're actually involved in the movie. You start to feel like you're almost, inside of that scene. You're hypnotized. You listen to a pastor, a priest. You're hypnotized. You listen to a politician. You're hypnotized. So you have to really watch. The news. You're hypnotized. You have to watch what you're consuming.
So what is hypnotism?
I'm not just talking about consuming food. I'm also information, because if you're consuming negative things, then that's really gonna negatively hypnotize you and possibly put you in a place where you don't want to be. So hypnosis by itself happens a lot, and just like with anything that's good, there's always a double-edged sword. So you can be hypnotized at any time, but what we do, and I know a lot of people know hypnosis through stage hypnosis.
What would be a practical? Can you give people watching this video your practical and personal definition of what if somebody said, what is a practical? They can look up what hypnotism is, but if you had to give a practical definition of what hypnotism is, what would you say?
Hypnotism, hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and that's what we do. We do clinical hypnotherapy, and hypnosis is basically talking to the subconscious and reprogramming your subconscious mind. That's basically what it is. And a lot of people want to link all that is in God with the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind. But at the end of the day, it is also our inner child. A lot of times we have things that well up inside of us, anger, despair, stress, anxiety, fear, jealousy, all these different negative emotions that could come up, in your life. A lot of times come from when you were younger, between 0 and 7 years old, because you were only a subconscious being until then. So in between 5 and 7, you begin to form a filter and a critical. It's called a critical mind, which is your conscious mind. Before then, it's just you're just purely subconscious sponging, like a big sponge, taking everything in, and you don't necessarily know, what's right or wrong, and it's very confusing, and some stressful things can happen. So, and that can happen, the subconscious mind, as I said, you can be hypnotized, when you're watching, politics. It can also, you can also be reprogrammed or programmed all through your life, especially, until your brain starts to develop, stops to develop. Men is 25, I think women is 21 or 22. But and those are basically the formative years when you can really be impacted. But it's something that happened when you're 5 or 6 or 7 years old. You didn't think anything of it, could still be affecting you today. It could be making it so that you're anxious, you're stressed, and you're just sick and tired of life, depressed, don't want to live anymore, and fearful of these different things. And it could be phobias too that we help out with. We make sure that our clients are nice and relaxed, and we bypass something that's called a gatekeeper, which is basically right in between the conscious and the subconscious mind, and it tells the conscious mind how to react to something from the subconscious impressions that it has taken from the past about okay, if I don't, and it's subconscious mind is always trying to protect you, right? And it always does a really good job of protecting you, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need to be protected by stuff like strong emotions. Like if for some reason you get some type of abuse when you're a child, whether it be physical or mental or emotional, and you you get abused as a child, and then it starts to manifest in different ways in different situations when you're an adult. You have to deal with that, and so that's what we help out with.
And different emotions and stuff come up. I think this is powerful because I like to help. For me, it is what it is. I feel I'm called to help the world, but because I am a person of color, I'm a melanated being, I do reach out to my Black brothers and sisters, my Hispanic brothers and sisters, people of color, in different areas, and I like to educate people about who they are. But I think this is good because what you just said that's something that I think a lot of Black men deal with, a lot of Black people in general deal with, but Black men deal with, especially people of color, because living in a country or living in an atmosphere where you feel that you're less than, or even somebody that's been in poverty kind of has you feeling. I think like Viola Davis is playing in a new part, but they interviewed her for this new part. She's playing Ma Rainey on Netflix, and they asked her, "Why do you talk so freely about being poor?" And what she said was, "I talk freely about it is because when you're poor, people kind of X you out of the situation. You're like, you don't exist. You're less than." And they say you're poor because something you did. And so, when it comes to being African American, and like me, I'm an educated 20-year military veteran. I'm very educated. I've been in circles. I've traveled. And I'll tell you right now, there are times, because what you just said, I definitely connect with. And I don't care if they're a multimillionaire. I've known people, the colonels and whether they're generals and people that's in administrative positions. I don't care how big they are, how high their chest is. There are times where you have moments you just want to go in a corner somewhere. You might not do it, but you feel like it. You want to go in a corner somewhere and sit down, or you feel like, why do I feel like I'm less than? Why do I feel like the world is against me? Why do I feel like everybody doesn't like me right now? And then when you realize, going back to what you said earlier, the I ams, no, this is hindering me from moving forward. People are minding their business, but I have these thoughts. That I think that these people think this of me, or I think that I feel like this, or I'm less than, or whatever. And I'm saying that because I think a lot of Black men, whether a lot of, they don't want to admit it or not, or a lot of men in general, let's do that. I'm saying Black men because I'm a Black man. But a lot of men in general, fathers, sons, because I'm about male empowerment. So I'll let you know that right now. Women like to empower each other, but men for some reason don't do enough of it. And we talk about the single mother, we don't talk about the single father.
Right.
Things like that. But I think that's powerful in what you said, though, because you get into your CEO now, and now you're having relational issues with people, anger issues. Don't nobody want to talk to you. You can't hold a meeting without, it's like, what is going on? Right. You're saying hypnotism can help to tap into that. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to pass this back to you because I want to hear more. But when you were talking, what came to my mind was the reticular activating system. Was the RAS, the subcon, because that reticular activate, that's why I got an NLP. The reticular activating system for that subconscious, it is always, like you said, it's protecting people, but it's always working for people. And going back to what you said earlier, what you say out of your mouth is going into your subconscious and programming you, whether you know it or not.
Right, and I forgot what I was gonna say. Now I remember. I was just like, "Oh, I got lost." I'm gonna stop this. but what I was thinking was, okay, so if somebody said you're stupid, if your dad said it, or if they made you feel that way, and if a teacher said it, then that's how you be feeling, right?
Right.
But that can manifest in so many different ways when you're an adult, and you may feel stupid for the rest of your life, or so it's about dealing with those, with those situations and healing from it, and really just connecting, with all that is also, in order to help with that healing. Because I've called myself a healer before, and people come down on people that call themselves healers. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is about just self-healing, and if you can help people, whether it's with your energy or with your knowledge, be able to know how to heal themselves or to, just tap in that energy, to tap in that feeling, tap in that knowledge that they can emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, then you're a healer.
You know what? And it is what it is. And you can be free. Use whatever terminology you want to use. I'm always in a judgment-free zone here. I don't be, listen, it is what it is. But Louise Hay, are you familiar with Louise Hay?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you said that you can heal yourself, I was reminded of Louise Hay, but I think this is all powerful. So hypnotism is a tool. So from what I'm hearing, hypnotism is a tool that can be used by a professional, whatever your religion. It is a tool that is a-religious. It's an a-religious tool, a tool without religion that can be used to increase a person's effectiveness, to increase a person's focus, to increase their work performance, to increase their ability as a father, as a mother, as whatever position they are in, to help them do that. And I love it. I just love it. You talk about breaking down that barrier, because a lot of people need that barrier broken down with their stuck up selves. Some people need to just sit down somewhere and just relax. So what are some different examples that you have used hypnotism for? No names, none of that, of course, you know that already. But what are some things that you've seen hypnotism actually help? Because we have people here, and I know a lot of people probably watching this are going to be Christians, because a lot of my friends in the audience are Christians, but this goes live, so I get comments from people from different countries, right? So what are some areas that hypnotism, can help with? Can help with weight loss?
Oh yeah, definitely weight loss. There's scientific studies and results to confirm that, weight loss. Smoking, I guess, is the best way to, over patches, over anything else, to quit smoking. Motivation, inspiration, self-confidence, basically anything that you can think of, it could definitely help out. Phobias, if you're scared of cats, if you're scared of water. Had one client that was scared of water, and she didn't know that was one of her blocks in her life. So we helped her out with that. But we didn't know that we were helping her out with that, because when we do a block removal, we don't necessarily know what, the subconscious mind does what it needs to do. It knows what it needs to do in order for it to heal itself. You don't necessarily need to be conscious. Like, there's different brain wavelengths that you get into when you go into hypnosis. Like right now we're in beta, and that's just conscious talking and things like that, and working, doing stuff like that. But when you get into alpha, that's when you close your eyes. And right there, your subconscious mind raises and your conscious mind kind of lowers, so that the reprogramming can begin. But it doesn't matter if you're conscious or not. When we're doing the hypnosis, the subconscious mind is still doing the work and what it's supposed to do, even when you're conscious. And when we say remove these blocks, you may not even know what blocks you're removing, but the blocks are being removed, right? You may, if you're a visual person, you can through your mind's eye, you can see like this movie motion picture of the blocks being removed, and then all of a sudden the next day you feel like going into the water, and you're 35 years old and you haven't been in the water since you were 8 years old.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what happened to one of my clients, and it was amazing. She didn't even know that was one of her blocks she needed to get out of the way, but it was, and it was, freeing for her. Just depression. I've helped out with, relationships, confidence, just all sorts of different stuff. Sleep, like, people said they didn't want to take any pills, to go to sleep. They didn't want to go to the doctor for sleep. They didn't want to go to a counselor, to help out with their mood things. They didn't want to take medication anymore, for depression and for anxiety, for these different things. And with hypnosis, you can actually, do that. I've helped out clients get off of their medication and begin to sleep, fall asleep, stay asleep, all that good stuff, so they can, lead better, more healthy lives.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That is. I mean, and that's what's up. That's the tool in people's toolbox. Is it kind of, there are so many tools, whether it's neuro-linguistic programming, whether understanding how the brain works.
Which I use a little bit too, is NLP. I use a little bit.
Yeah, because that's why I was listening to what you were saying. I was like, man, I said, because some of that sounds like, NLP. Because that's why and I went, and when people, I don't know, people may see that on one. I'm a master practitioner NLP, so they see that on there. But that's what a lot of what you were saying. I think that's awesome, and I think these tools can help people. So for you, and we have 9 minutes. So for you, what I want to ask is, we have AnthonyBBrown.com, and people that are watching, the website is going right there across the screen. They can go here and they can check you out. What can they do from your site? Can they can email you? Can they pay for a session? And I want to ask, what is the average length of a session? Do you do an initial consult? What are the prices ranging? Do you use Zoom, video? What's going down?
Yeah. So as I was saying a bit earlier, for the people who still are a little bit unclear about hypnosis and things like that and how it works, it's basically like, like meditation, but we help you out, we help you relax and things like that. And then there's some deepeners so that we can really, talk to the subconscious mind. But we don't make it cluck like a chicken. We don't make you dance and do funny things, right? We have you relax, we have you close your eyes, and
run around,
take some deep breaths, and then we work on exactly what you want to work on and improve your life. So yeah, you can go to my website. You can get a free MP3 if you sign up, and if you have any questions, you can do that. If you would like a session, they're an hour session, but first we have a pre-talk, for about 20 minutes. And then the first session is an hour and a half, just so that we can, get a baseline as to, where you're at and what's going on, and what's the best way to help you out, what type of learner you are and things like that. Because there's some people that are more kinesthetic. There's some people which is feeling, they feel really strongly. I'm one of those people, and I've had to work on my visuals. Other people are more visual, and that's just who they are naturally. So we just figure out, what's their best learning style and how, so that we can help them the best way. Thank you, Jose.
So here's my question on that too. Oh yeah, I love posting comments. I love when people have comments and questions, and you can just post it. So where did you get training? So I want to go there. Where did you get your training for being a clinical hypnotist? And I want to translate that. Can people's insurance help to pay for sessions as well? So somebody might be wondering that. So can you talk about your training, where you got trained, and then somebody might say, hey, I might want to get a session, but can my insurance pay for this?
Sure. Yeah, no worries. No. Yeah. Insurance, working with me, I don't take insurance, but possibly with other, hypnotherapists, you may be able to find somebody who takes insurance. Yeah. So what was your other question?
Oh, it was the training. I was asking where did you
the training? Yeah. I trained with a trainer, and she was absolutely amazing. Her name is Leah Gami, and just got certified, through that same organization she's affiliated with, and it helps that I was a coach before that, and it helps that I'm a certified metaphysical practitioner. So that's a different thing that I bring to the table is the metaphysical part with the hypnosis. And you know, hypnosis is naturally metaphysical, but that's definitely, you know, something different that I bring to the table, as opposed to just a regular hypnotherapist or hypnotist.
Mhm. Well, you know what? Well, it's been awesome. Well, Anthony, thank you. You know, we might have to have you back and chat a little bit more. Thank you, you know, for being on the show, opening people's minds to, you know, hypnotherapy, hypnosis, and the positive effects of it. We talked a little bit because, you know, we mentioned some terms here, NLP. I know I mentioned the RAS. You mentioned the I am concept, some affirmations, some metaphysical concepts and principles here, but also how this tool of hypnosis can actually help people, and to try to change people's mentality about it, that it is an religious, amoral tool that can be used to help somebody get from point A to point B where they want to get in their life if they want to use that tool to do so.
Fast. That's the other thing. It's not dependent therapy. We don't spend 2 or 3 years with you. We spend a few weeks with you.
See,
and your life is changed drastically.
And you said dependent therapy.
Yeah. It's not just like, you know, I love my psychologists, my psychiatrists out there, but we don't necessarily depend on medication,
right,
or, you know, only talking about something on the surface and then not necessarily dealing with it, you know, in the subconscious mind. We actually, you know, reprogram the subconscious mind so that you are the best version of yourself and you are closer to being, you know, the God, you know, or you know, close to God as you can, right? So
I love that, because it's a holistic approach, right?
Yeah.
The mental, the spiritual, physical, and coming and bringing all of that together.
Yes.
Not saying we don't need some of the other ones, but there are other approaches that you can use before you go there. And I like the term is not dependent. Well, Anthony, thank you for being on. Thank you so much. I feel like we're fam. I feel like we're brothers. I feel like, I don't know.
I could probably talk for another 2 or 3 hours, man. You know, I'm like, oh man, I didn't say this. Oh man, I didn't say that. Yeah.
So you know what?
Yeah, you know, I feel comfortable with you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, likewise. And so you know what that means, and I'm gonna give you a call after the show, but that means we probably need to bring you back and then and start, you know, and doing some things and bring you back. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. If you've tuned in, go to anthonybrown.com to get more information about Anthony Benton Brown. He's a certified hypnotist, life coach, and fellow metaphysician. Thank you for coming on the show tonight, man.
Much love. Appreciate you.
All right.
Take care.
Well, guys, that is the show. On tonight, we had Anthony Benton Brown come on, fellow metaphysician. He's a certified hypnotist, and I love what I heard here. And I want to just reach out too. So a lot of my Christian brothers and sisters who thinks that everything is demonic, sometimes you just need to go re-educate yourself or find out some information and explore. Know what you believe, right? But actually open your mind to understand what other people believe and understand the power of tools that are out there. Some people believe that, you know, hypnotism was akin to witchcraft and the demonic, but we've learned here tonight that hypnotism is amoral, and it's an amoral and it's an a-religious tool that can help you get to where you need to get to. Talked a little bit about NLP as well, and then you know, you mentioned the I am concept, you know, for people, and I love that too, because we get so many Christians and they run around quoting scriptures and they run around going to church, and you tithe here, tithe there, tithe everywhere, and do all this stuff, and 10 or 20 years later you're in the same place you were in. You might need to tap into you might need to tap into that I am concept. So that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please go to Calvin D. Ward Worldwide on YouTube, y'all, where these master class series expert interviews will be. I want you to go there and subscribe. We need subscribers, and I want you to like us, like and subscribe. Thank you, Jose. Thank you for your comments, and thank you, you know, for letting us know, you know, how you feel, and for chiming in. Thank you. Appreciate that. I want you guys to subscribe. I want you to like, and there's more to come. I want you to subscribe to the show. I want you to press like on YouTube. I also want you to share it with somebody, man. We go live. When we go live on these shows, I'm trying to bring to you some of the best people and some of the most powerful information that can help you out. And when we go live, We go live on my Facebook page live. We're going live on YouTube, so anybody in the world can see, and I go live on Periscope as well. So we're live on those 3 platforms. Please like and share. Tomorrow, which is Sunday, I want you to tune in. We have Dr. Perry Jackson, who is coming to us from Florida, and he's an apostle as well. He has 2 doctorates, and he will be coming to us, and we will have a powerful discussion. So until next time, thank you guys for tuning in.